This is NBC News for Universal Kids. I'm Savannah Sellers, and here's your Week in Review. The gift of a new heart. Rachel Ward's heart wasn't working well because of a virus. She was sick and very scared, but hope and a new heart arrived from an organ donation. That's when things like the heart, kidneys, or lungs are given to someone whose organs aren't working. To do this, it takes a special surgery called a transplant. People usually sign up to be organ donors when they get a driver's license, like a woman named Brittany Gatt did. Brittany tragically died in a car accident, but her heart was donated to Rachel, saving Rachel's life. After the transplant, Rachel wondered about the person who donated the heart now beating in her chest. So she wrote a letter that got to Brittany's parents, David and Nina, on what would have been their daughter's 20th birthday. Because of that letter, David, Nina, and Rachel got to meet.
I feel like I kind of already know you.
David and Nina even listened to their daughter's heart, now keeping another woman alive.
It sounds so strong. I'm so happy that it's doing wonders for you.
One family's loss turns into the greatest gift of all and makes strangers friends. Speaker of the House. The Speaker leads all 435 members in the House of Representatives. The political party, either Democratic or Republican, with the most number of people in the House, gets to choose who's going to have the job. Since the elections last fall, more Democrats than Republicans are in the House of Representatives. So at the beginning of January, the Democrats got to pick the next Speaker of the House, and they chose Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi's had this job before. She used to be the Speaker in 2006. So what does the Speaker do? Well, in the House, things can get pretty noisy.
That the business of the House could be conducted in a fashion that respects positively.
It's the Speaker's job to call the House to order. The Speaker isn't allowed to take sides during a debate, but they do get to pick who speaks and in what order. And the Speaker swears in new House members. And the job is a big deal because the Speaker is third in line for the presidency. So keep your eye on how the new Speaker will keep order in the House. And now, have you seen this? A small town filled with big objects. Hoping to attract tourists to their town, people in Casey, Illinois started thinking big, really big. And now they're in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's biggest mailbox, the biggest rocking chair, and the biggest wind chimes. They even have the world's biggest wooden shoes fit for a giant. Saving Syria's history. Syria is a country in the Middle East where people have been living for thousands of years. The capital city, Damascus, is actually one of the oldest cities in the world. Because it's so old, Syria is home to many priceless historical places and treasures, like mosques and temples that go back to Roman times. The city of Palmyra was once a place where traders from all over the world would go to buy and sell goods. In 2015, almost all of the priceless ancient artwork and buildings were destroyed. But help is arriving from 3,000 miles away, from the state of Ohio.
All of these are part of a much wider, much greater history that represents us all.
The history professor started a group called The Day After. The group works with experts from all over the world to save items with techniques as simple as covering them with sandbags.
This damage was just ongoing and relentless, and people from their own communities were reaching out to anybody who would be able to answer them and say, hey, look, what can I do to help?
They're currently working on 10 projects to save ancient treasures in places where people are fighting. The Bajau people. They may hold clues for scientists to help save lives. This group of people lives almost entirely at sea on houseboats off the coast of Southeast Asia. The Bajau are as comfortable underwater as most people are on land. They spend more than 5 hours total underwater each day fishing. They don't use any flippers or oxygen tanks to help them breathe. Some can hold their breath for 13 minutes at a time. Most other people can't make it past 30 seconds. A few years ago, a scientist figured out why they could stay underwater so long. Their spleens, a little organ in the belly, are 50% bigger than normal. They've adapted to their environment over the years, evolving to become better divers. But what does the spleen have to do with holding your breath? The spleen filters lots of red blood cells full of oxygen, which we need to breathe. When the sea nomads dive deep underwater, the pressure of the water on their bodies squeezes those red blood cells back into the bloodstream, carrying oxygen to parts of the body that need it, like the heart, brain, and lungs.
You could think of it as getting an extra breath of air while you're underwater.
Now, scientists think these discoveries could help doctors learn new ways to protect patients who need more oxygen on land. And now, have you seen this? A sweet hug from two unlikely pals. Bruno the pup and Tweety the duck are best friends, proving that friendship comes in many forms and species. Black History Month. In February, Americans celebrate the achievements and contributions of African Americans. For a long time, many accomplishments made by African Americans went unnoticed. Interested in discovering their own history and celebrating it, Black teachers and students at Kent State University in Ohio created Black History Month during the Civil Rights Movement. African Americans have played a major role in making the United States what it is today. You may have heard the name Jackie Robinson, the first Black player in modern Major League Baseball, or Barack Obama, our country's first Black president.
At this defining moment, change has come to America.
Or Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court justice.
We believe that now is the time to get around to having our Constitution apply to all sections of the country equally.
Or Frederick Douglass, the first African American to be nominated for vice president. But everyday people have made contributions too, like Henrietta Lacks, who changed the way doctors treat cancer, or Katherine Johnson, the mathematician behind NASA's first mission to the moon. And have you ever seen this name, Polly Murray? Find out who she is and you'll be celebrating Black history. And now, have you seen this? Super trees in Singapore. Well, these aren't real trees, but they do make a spectacular light show. And they're good for the environment too. These tree sculptures absorb sunlight and the solar energy they collect powers the colorful bright lights. That's your look at this week's NBC News for Universal Kids. Now, go join the conversation.